So, as the topic is already given here, the topic of today's lecture will be vector, and this is a very important topic in the field of mathematics as well as physics. So, let's start. So, physical quantities can be specified or classified into two classes: scalar quantities and vector quantities. Clear? Physical quantities can be classified into two classes: scalar quantities and vector quantities. What are scalar quantities? Quantities which need only their magnitude to be the only parameter of their description. Clear? That sort of quantities are called scalar quantities. For example, mass, speed, density, they need only their magnitude to describe themselves. Clear? So they are dependent only on their magnitude, while vector quantities are those which are dependent on magnitude plus direction. Clear? They're dependent on both magnitude as well as direction. Clear? So this is the difference between scalars and vectors. Scalars are dependent only on magnitude plus unit. Unit is common to both, and vectors are dependent on magnitude as well as their direction. Okay, without specifying direction, a vector quantity is you cannot make sense out of a vector quantity. Got it? So now how to represent a vector? So vectors are basically represented using a directed line segment. Directed line segment. What is a directed line segment? A line segment which specifies a direction. For example, A and B are 2 points. If I draw a line like this with an arrow which determines that something is moving from A to B, this direction specified line segment is called a directed line segment. Clear? This now this vector, okay, since this is a directed line segment, so this can be called a vector. This vector is actually represented using its terminal points. Terminal points are what? A and B, where the terminal point A is more specified as an initial point, and B is known as a final point. Clear? B is known as a final point, and using these two initial and final points, the vector is represented as AB with an arrow sign above which represents this to be a vector. If we give a mod symbol, then this represents the magnitude of the vector, that is the length between these 2 points, magnitude of the vector AB. I guess it's clear. Okay, so now we talk about there are the types of vectors. Clear? So what are the types of vectors? These are important. Types of vectors. The first type being null vector, also called a zero vector. Null vector is nothing but magnitude of the vector is 0. Magnitude of the vector is 0 implies that AB vector is a null vector. Clear? Basically, in a null vector, what happens is that initial point equals final point. Clear? That means its magnitude is 0. Clear? Next we have something called an unit vector. Clear? So if the magnitude of a vector is 1, then that particular vector is called an unit vector. The unit vector of a given vector AB, we are often asked to find a unit vector in the direction of some vector. Okay, I'm telling you what I mean by this statement, that unit vector in the direction of a vector, say A, is denoted as A cap. This is called A cap. Clear? And A cap is given as A vector over mod of A vector. So do remember this. Unit vector in the direction of some given vector is given by this mathematical formula. Clear? Next we talk about equal vectors. What happens in the case of equal vectors? If there are two vectors, say a and b are two vectors, clear, and their magnitude are same and direction are same. So both their magnitude and their directions are same. When this condition arises, then a vector and b vector are said to be equal vectors. Clear? Are said to be equal vectors. Now what is a negative vector? So negative vector is that their magnitude is same. Their magnitude is same, but directions are opposite. Directions are opposite. That is, if this is the direction of a vector, then this is the direction of b vector. To be honest, or to be more precise, they will always be parallel. Otherwise you won't be able to determine whether they are having a same direction or opposite direction. I guess it's clear. If this sort of a condition arises, then the two vectors are called negative vectors. Next we have like and unlike vectors. Like and unlike vectors. Clear? Like and unlike vectors. So what are like and unlike vectors? Basically, if they have same if two vectors a and b, they have the same direction, then they are said to be like vectors. If they have opposite direction, then they are said to be unlike vectors. Clear? Got it? That is, you can tell it like this also. If you have an angle theta, which is angle between a and b, clear, then theta equals to 0 degree means like vectors, theta equals to 180 degree means unlike vectors. This angle concept we will need later when we will be studying the product of vectors. Clear? Unlike vectors. Got it? Next we have covectors. Covectors in the sense there are three types of covectors: collinear, coinitial and coplanar vectors. What are collinear vectors? Collinear vectors, basically if two or more vectors act along the same line or act along parallel lines, then the vectors are called collinear. Clear? Same line. Suppose this is a line given, and this is suppose a vector, this is b vector, this is c vector. So these vectors are said to be collinear in nature. Their magnitude need not be same, but they are acting along the same line. Okay, that is what basically is given by the term collinear. Clear? I guess it's clear. Basically, there is a very important mathematical fact about collinear vectors. If b vector and a vector are collinear, then b vector can be represented as a scalar multiple of a vector. And to be more precise, x must not be 0. That is, x is a non-zero scalar. Next we have coinitial vectors. What are coinitial vectors? So basically, if vectors have same initial points, then those vectors are called coinitial vectors. Same initial points. Clear? Next we have coplanar vectors. Two or more vectors, if lie on the same plane, then they are called coplanar vectors. Clear? If you have two vectors, say a and b, clear? If you have two vectors, say a and b, then what happens is that three vectors basically are coplanar if one of them can be expressed as a linear combination of the two other. I mean, you have two vectors ab and you have a third vector c, and you can say that c is given as ma plus nb. This is called a linear combination of vectors. If this representation is possible, where m and n are non-zero scalars, or rather scalars, non-zero is not a no, they need to be non-zero. They cannot be zero. Zero will make the things different. They need to be non-zero. Okay, so when m and n are non-zero scalars, then and c can be represented as a linear combination of a and b, then the three vectors come out to be coplanar vectors. The last type of vector is given as localized or free vectors. Localized or free vectors. Okay, so basically a vector drawn parallel to a given vector through a specified point in space is called a localized vector. Clear? So basically if you have a vector here like this, suppose this is a vector and here is a specified point, say, and what you do is that you try to draw a parallel vector through this specified point and nothing else. So this restriction appears to this vector, and this sort of a vector is called a localized vector. Clear? And if there there is some vector which depends only on its magnitude and direction but is independent of its position in space, there is no restriction to its position, that sort of a vector is called a free vector. Clear? So now we talk about addition and subtraction of vectors, that is the triangle law of addition. So addition of vectors, if parallel to each other, then we go by the algebraic addition. Clear? Then we go by the algebraic addition. See, if this is a vector, then this is minus a vector. Clear? Or you may consider it like this: if this is a vector and this is b vector. Okay, if this is a vector and this is b vector, since they are parallel, so we can add them like this to get a vector parallel to them only. And this will be higher in magnitude than a and b. This will be higher in magnitude than a and b. And if the direction of the b vector is different, suppose it is like this, so this becomes minus b vector. Let's say this is a vector, so now the addition becomes a plus minus b vector, which is a vector minus b vector. Clear? So this is algebraic addition. But what happens if they are not parallel to each other? So suppose you have this as an a vector and this as b vector. Clear? So to find a plus b, what we do is that we complete this triangle by connecting the free ends. Okay, and what we do is that we specify the direction in such a way. See, this has direction like this has direction like this, so this will be having direction of like this. Clear? So when they two are approaching in kind of similar directions, see, we can approach them in this linear way, right? They can approach from this point to this point in a linear way along this direction. So this will give you the direct direction between those two free points. There. For example, if you are having directions like this, say this is one and say this is one direction, so the a plus b direction will be this. Clear? So we need to complete this triangle, and this completed this line segment which completes the triangle is the a plus b vector, a vector plus b vector. I guess it's clear. Similarly, we can subtract it also. For example, see, this is your a vector. If this is your b vector, then this is your minus b vector. You will join this, then this becomes your a vector minus b vector. Clear? So this is the triangle law of addition. Now, why this happens actually? Why this happens? Basically, the triangle law of vector, there is an important law of vector, triangle law of vector, which says that if you draw a triangle and each of them are having this same directed line segments. Clear? A circular line segment, each completing the other line segment in direction, and say this is a vector, this is b vector, this is c vector, then a vector plus b vector plus c vector equals to 0. Now if I change the direction of this one, so this becomes minus c vector, so this becomes minus c vector, and if I put c vector here, then I get a vector plus b vector equals to c vector. This from here only this triangle law of addition has arisen. I guess it's clear. Clear? Okay. Next, talking about theorems on addition. Theorems on addition. So first theorem is that vector addition is commutative. Vector addition is commutative. Next one, you have vector addition is associative. Vector addition is associative. And thirdly, you have vector addition follows the triangle law of vectors. Triangle law of vectors. Clear? This is only I just showed you. So what does these two statements mean? So this means that a vector plus b vector equals to b vector plus a vector, and this means that, wait a minute, and this associativity means, I guess you people know, a vector plus this equals, clear? This is what associativity means. I guess it's clear now. Next we talk about position vectors. What are position vectors? So position vectors actually determine the points. Okay, point vector, position vector. Suppose you have a point like this, P. Now this P can also be represented as a vector by taking some point as a reference point. So we usually take the reference point to be the origin. So with respect to origin, this may have a vector representation. This vector representation of a point is called the position vector. Is called the position vector. Clear? I guess it's clear. For example, say you have P given by the vector A. Clear? And P is specified as a point. So A becomes the position vector of P. Now, if you take origin as the reference, then OP will become a length vector of the same vector A vector as given, right? So the position vector got changed into a length vector by specifying a particular point of reference, that is origin here. Got it? So this is what position vector and length vector means. Clear? So basically, if you have two position vectors, say you have position vector P as A vector and position vector Q as B vector, then PQ is actually OQ minus OP, where O is the origin, and that is equals to what is OQ B vector, what is OP A vector. Clear? Got it? Okay. Next we talk about the direction cosines of vector. Okay. Direction cosines are easy to understand. So suppose this is the 3D plane. Okay. Suppose this is the 3D plane. This is Y, this is X, this is Z. Clear? Now you have a line which cuts all these three axes. Clear? You have a line which cuts all these three axes. This line makes certain angles with the axes. So let this be alpha, let this be beta, and let this be gamma. Clear? So cos alpha is represented as L, cos beta as M, and cos gamma as N. And these cosine values are called the direction cosines of a vector. Direction cosines of a vector. Clear? There is also something called the direction ratio, which we are not going to talk about here, but we will be talking about direction ratio and direction cosines with more clarity when we will be studying the 3D geometry of straight lines. Clear? We are not going to talk about that much here. Okay. The next important topic about vectors is the components of vector. Okay. components of vector. So vectors in 3D plane have three components: x component, that is its direction with respect to the x axis, or its position with respect to the x axis. Clear? Then we have the y component, its position with respect to y axis or direction with respect to y axis, and z component, direction with respect to z axis. I guess it's understandable. Clear? Now how to understand what is the component with respect to x, what is component with respect to y, what is component with respect to z. So a vector A is represented like this: a1 I cap plus b1 j cap plus c1 k cap. Okay, there is Ajan going on by my side. I guess it's not causing any problem to the audio of this lecture. So from this what we get is that this a1, the coefficient to I cap, is basically your x component, where I cap is a unit vector along x component. Clear? I cap is unit vector along x component. Clear? Similarly, j cap is unit vector along y component. Sorry, y. I'm very sorry, very sorry, not component, axis. I'm very sorry. Okay, y axis. And k cap is unit vector along z axis. Clear? A1, B1 and C1. Okay, so this coefficient of the I cap is the x component, coefficient of j cap will be the y component, coefficient of k cap will be the z component. Clear? I guess it's no more a problem. Okay, so this was all about simply vectors. Clear? Now we will be talking about what are the products related to vector. So related to vector, there are three basic products. Okay, products of vectors. So related to vectors, there are three products. One is your scalar product, one is your vector product. This is also called dot product. This is also called cross product. And the other is box product. Box product, also called scalar triple product. Okay, so we are coming to them one by one. Let's start with scalar product. What is scalar product? If you have two vectors AB, then A dot B is given by magnitude of A multiplied with magnitude of B with cos theta, where theta is the angle between A and B. Theta is the angle between A and B. This product is called the scalar product of two vectors. Clear? This product is called the scalar product of two vectors. Clear? So this scalar product is actually used to find scalar projections of a vector about another vector or another vector. Scalar projections. Clear? So basically, if I talk about a scalar projection, what is a scalar projection? Basically, suppose this is A vector and say this is B vector. So if I draw a perpendicular line like this, so the scalar projection of this B vector is this line segment. Clear? Or this vector, or this line segment rather, you can see. I guess it's clear. This is what we call the scalar vector, scalar projections. So scalar projection of B on A will be given as a vector dot b vector upon mod a. Clear? A vector times b vector, dot b vector over mod a. And this quantity is a scalar in nature. This quantity is a scalar in nature. Determines length only, no direction, length. Clear? Got it? Now, if I ask about the scalar projection of B on A, then this is what you have. But if I ask about the vector projection of B on A, if I talk about vector projection of B on A, what do you have? Then the formula firstly will be this, and since the direction will be along A, so we need to multiply an unit vector along A, and this unit vector actually gets changed to A vector over mod A vector, which becomes A dot B multiplied by, now this is a scalar, this is a scalar value, so this gets changed to a scalar multiplication over mod A square. This is the vector projection of B on A. Acha, talking about scalar multiplication of vectors, this is easy to understand. If M is some non-zero scalar and A is a vector, then MA is called a scalar multiplication of vector. Okay, if you represent A vector like this, A1 I cap plus B1 j cap plus C1 k cap, then MA will be MA1 I cap plus MB1 j cap plus MC1 k cap. Okay, clear? This is what scalar multiplication of vector means. Clear? Now there are certain properties. For example, MNA vector is equals to NMA vector. Further, you can have say MA vector like this. You can use the scalar product form also. You can use the scalar product form here for reference also. That is MA dot B is equals to MA dot B. Clear? This will also be distributive. A vector plus B vector is equals to MA vector plus MB vector, also distributive. Clear? Got it? I guess it's clear, right? Acha, let's talk about some algebraic properties of the scalar product. Algebraic properties of this scalar product. Algebraic property construction is going on in my house, so it is causing huge problem. Algebraic properties of scalar product. The first property being it is commutative. That is A dot B is equals to B dot A. This is commutative. Clear? It is associative with respect to a scalar. Associative with respect to a scalar. That is, which I just wrote down in the previous line. This becomes. Further, this is distributive in terms of vector addition. Clear? It is distributive in terms of vector addition. Got it? This much is clear. Acha, next we talk about the scalar product in terms of components. Scalar product in terms of components. Clear? So scalar product in terms of components. Now suppose you have two vectors. A vector is given as A1 I cap plus A2 j cap plus A3 k cap, and B vector as B1 I cap plus B2 j cap plus B3 k cap. Then A dot B will be A1 B1 plus A2 B2 plus A3 B3. The reason being I vector dot I vector is equals to 1, j cap dot j cap is equals to 1, k cap dot k cap is equals to 1 and I cap dot j cap equal to 0, j cap dot k cap equal to 0 and I cap dot k cap equal to 0. The reason being is that, see, I cap represents the vector component along x axis, j along y axis and k along z axis. Now each of them are mutually perpendicular, right? Each of them are mutually perpendicular. So the angle between I cap and j cap is 90 degree. That between j cap and k cap is 90 degree, and that between I cap and k cap is 90 degree. So I'm telling you via one example only. So this becomes mod I cap mod j cap cos 90. What is cos 90? Cos 90 is 0. So this becomes 0. But j cap dot j cap becomes mod j times cos 0. Now what is mod j? It is 1. This is also 1 because they are unit vectors, and this is also 1. So this becomes 1. Clear? Got it? So from here we can also find, using the dot product, we can also find the angle between two vectors. So if the angle between, we take the cosine of the angle between two vectors, then that actually becomes the dot product over mod A mod B. Clear? This gives us the angle between two vectors also. Clear? Okay. Achha, what is mod of a vector in component terms? So if A is given as A1 I cap plus A2 j cap plus A3 k cap, then mod of A will be root over of A1 square plus A2 square plus A3 square. I guess it's clear. Next we talk about some geometrical properties of scalar product. Geometrical properties of scalar product. Acha, if you have like vectors, then like vectors, what happens? They are parallel to each other, so the angle between them is 0 degree. So A vector dot B vector becomes mod A mod B. Clear? Because their cos 0 is 1. If you have unlike vectors, then A dot B is equals to minus mod A mod B, because cos 180 is minus 1. Now if you have perpendicular vector, so in the perpendicular vectors, what will have? So A dot B will become 0 because cos 90 is 0. Clear? So these are the two geometrical properties of scalar product. Let this lecture be here till this much, guys. In the next lecture we will be talking about vector product and the triple product. Clear? So we will be meeting you guys in the next lecture.